Well, some of these figures have seen better days. What we're looking at here is top left corner Microsoft LifeCam, bottom right hand corner GoPro 8, bottom left hand corner Microsoft LifeCam number 2 running through phone link. Why? Because the situation with two cameras that are identical into Windows doesn't work. The drivers are conflicting because you've already got a driver and it doesn't know what one camera is from another. Ergo, plug it into a different source and capture it in OBS as a window, which is what I'm looking at now, courtesy of Microsoft Phone Link. So yes, some of these guys have seen better days. Sorry about their glossy look, because the men might be glossy because of the clear coating that we put on them. And of course, when such things happen, especially with a camera that's this relatively good look, that shininess kind of makes it a little hard to focus. So I think it's not really focusing that well. I don't think I can zoom out. Maybe I can through the phone. No, maybe. Let me see. If I use the phone interface, I can zoom in. So I guess, I don't know if that's going to make it any better. Can't be sure. Anyway, so they're glossy. And I wanted to also point out that the strapping isn't done. Why? Because the Union Blue makes the black strapping invisible. But except on this camera view, right, with something like this, you're probably able to see it because you don't normally look at figures this close up. But here's what I mean. And using a Sharpie, which is the only advisable thing to do in this case. If you have a new Sharpie that hasn't been dried out, the results will be appreciable. But as you can see, with some errors, sometimes I painted these guys really quickly. I mean, I slapped it on there because I wanted to get him on the battlefield. And this is the same case with Napoleonics, that Napoleonic blue. And this is the case where you want to have a right-angled tip. And yes, some of these are strelets. These guys in the back are strelets with great coats on. And it has often been remarked, shouldn't the strap holding on the satchel be the same color as the satchel? The answer is yes. But try and find a multicolored Sharpie. I'm going to have to use a paintbrush in order to get the white. And see, you can even do their shoes. And then, of course, you know, it's always the question of the color of the barrel, or the color of the rifles. Watch this. I'm going to do a mustache. That actually looks pretty good. Alright, so you get the idea. Not too bad. It's one way of prettying up the stands. And of course, as these are, like as I said, they have seen better days. They're pretty dirty. A lot of this is glue and such for the labels. I don't know if this is going to be acceptable or not. Well, it doesn't matter because the label that I'm going to put on is going to cover it up anyway. Actually, no, it won't, because the label I'm going to put on is clear. You know, that just makes me think maybe I'll just use the white label, cover up those imperfections. Yeah, the dark brown of the barrel is a little much. It could be lighter. But let me give you an example of a label. This is the 59th Illinois. We'll get out our trusty label maker here. See how big it comes out. Oh, sorry. Because of the way it's positioned on the label paper. It feeds it through halfway. So there's an idea. So I think this is this a clear label? I think if it is, it's not going to work because it has to be white. Yeah. No, it's white label. Okay. Now, in order to get this right, you have to use a second line. In other words, after the word Illinois, you have to press the return key on the labeler to get this to be smaller size. Otherwise, the lettering automatically fills the size of the label. That's the default. And of course, that would be huge. Easy to read, but huge. You know, another way of doing this is to put a period on the label, and that'll tell you where to, that would tell you where to cut the label, like a dot in front of the 59. But then again, you don't know how far that dot should be from the, maybe it's going to always be the same. Maybe it's like 8 characters to the left and 8, nah, you can't tell. There's no way to make sure that it's going to be right, but that's a way of doing it, and that's pretty cool, actually. That's actually a pretty good result. Now, of course, I'm not crazy about the flag holder, nor am I crazy about the fact that this flag is just absolutely perfect. Because, right, it should be waving, waving. You know, rocket's red glare, waving everywhere. Okay, so just give it a little bend like that, and it looks more realistic. I could put a hole in there. But at any rate, that is an example of troops that we've had for a while and that were painted, well, I don't want to say quickly and give myself an excuse, but they were painted quickly to get them out there. I have another one. And this guy is the 25th Illinois. And these guys do have the white satchel strap and haversack, I should say, haversack. These are actually Confederates painted blue for Western theater, because in the Western theater they wore slouch hats just as much as they wore kepis. And my focus has always been for the American Civil War on the Western theater. So these are actually pretty good figures. Some of my best, actually. Again, quickly painted. They're just, you know, tan faces, tan hands, and everything else that you can imagine. Their gaiters aren't painted, but the gaiters are there. They're sculpted. And, or socks in this case, whatever the case may be, they could be painted. Those socks could be painted. And of course, we can always touch them up, which I probably will do before the game. And the guy in the back with the flag, that is a IMEX cavalryman with his pistol and the shoulder stock for the pistol removed, because that shoulder stock pistol weapon was a fancy thing, and it was kind of silly. Probably just another procurement idea to cause the army to get or to spend more money on something. I don't know how effective or even if it would be worth it to carry such a weapon, but anyway, I chopped it off because it's silly. And so the other thing I noticed is that that figure has a jaw that is pointed, and it's just bizarre. So anyway, so again, here we go, right? 25th Illinois. Over to our labeler. And press the enter key to get a second line. Print it, and then don't cut yet, because it's going to ask you to feed. And then cut. Okay, so you see. I actually do like that. Peeling off these labels. And of course it doesn't rub off because it's a thermal printed label. And they look nice together. So actually I'm going to go ahead and keep doing that. And the scenario build out will continue.